I'm Deborah Rosen. For almost 20 years, as founder and owner of Good Citizen Dog, I've been training and educating people and their dogs using the science of canine behavior. My favorite thing to do is to help you create peaceful living with your dog. Welcome to Dog Dish, everyone. I'm Deborah Rosen, and my co-host is
Aaliyah Delmage. Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Aaliyah. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Just so that you know, folks, we're doing this podcast via Zoom because our state, which is Washington State, is now under more restrictions because of the pandemic. And so we're essentially on lockdown. I'm not allowed to let anyone into my house who doesn't live here with me. And so that means just me. And Aaliyah is in the same boat.
Yep, same boat here. We're quarantining, staying in place, and only going out for the necessities. So,
There you go. I mean, we have to do this, folks, because if we don't, then it's just going to get worse. So, but that's not stopping us. We're still doing our podcast. And I know that there are people out there who are struggling with, a lot of people went out and got dogs and puppies, and they were right to do that because they're home and they have time, but the issues are not going away. They're still there. So we want to be there to help you get through this.
absolutely. Yeah, this is a can be a difficult time for a lot, and dogs are providing a lot of companionship and a lot of activities. So,
Lots of love.
yeah, but also a fair share of, issues that we're all home to observe a little bit more.
Issues. Yeah. So do you want to introduce the first subject, Aaliyah?
Sure. So I just kind of in the course of my own COVID puppy, Ruby, didn't she's just 9 months old now, but I've noticed that, she's potty trained and she's done a great job. She doesn't have accidents, but there are times where she has slip ups. And so, Deborah, I kind of would love to pick your brain about how we might be able to get a handle on those slip ups.
Yeah. No, and I want to do that. But before we get into dealing with an older puppy, I want to go over the basics with the new puppies, the newbies. In part because we were doing puppy kindergarten classes, and we do have one that we're doing. We actually had to split it in two because we had 10 people and we're only allowed to have 5 even outside in a public area. So we split our one puppy kindergarten class into 2. But we're not doing a whole lot of this. So I want those of you who are out there with new puppies to be able to know what to do to get them potty trained right from the beginning, from the get-go. So Aaliyah, you know what the thing is here, right? I mean, what
Yeah,
do these people have to go out and get?
a crate.
Yeah.
It has
You
been
have to.
Yeah, it's been key in all the puppies that I've potty trained, which have been, more than one. A crate is key.
And the fact is that it's not cruel. Dogs are den animals. They like to be in small enclosed spaces. It makes them feel safe. So, for example, even dogs that are a little bit fearful and intimidated, if you put them into a smaller space that's enclosed, that becomes their little safe haven, they like it in there, and they not only do they like it, they learn from being in there. And what they learn in terms of potty training is that they don't soil in their own small space.
Yeah.
They just know intuitively not to do that.
Yeah, I think what it doesn't have to do with they used to dwell in caves and they don't want to soil their caves. So
Right.
kind of the same
Right.
principle.
Right, exactly right. Don't put anything in there with them, because if you do, they'll go on that and then push it over out of the way. That's
Hmm.
something that they've been known to do. So while you're potty training, don't put anything in there with them. Um, it's just not going to work out well. Once they're already somewhat potty trained, you can put in something if they're going to sleep in there at night, for example. But for the beginning stages of potty training, don't put a towel or a mat or a bed of any kind in there with them. And here's the thing, folks: use the crate. It's not going to work if you don't use it.
Mhm.
So I have a puppy right now that I'm boarding and training, and I was misled to think that he was a little bit further along in his potty training than he actually is, in part because he's very large and he looks like he should be older than he is. But he's only 3 months old, and I wasn't putting him in the crate when I wasn't watching him enough. And so he was having accidents. So now, literally, like right now, while I'm doing this podcast, he is in the crate and he's got a bully stick in there that he's chewing on. And we did a lot of exercise and we stimulated him a lot right before. So he's tired and he's taking a little nap. And I'm using the crate because I don't want him to have an accident in my house.
And it kind of teaches them to use those bladder control muscles a little bit too. It kind of gets their, it's psychological, but it's also physiological. Kind of teaches them their bodies how to kind of hold it a little bit longer too. Isn't that right, Deborah?
It's absolutely correct. Yeah, absolutely. They need to start using those. And one of the issues with this puppy, whose name is Leo, who is actually a Bernedoodle, he's
He's
one of those puppies
adorable.
that Geico likes to make fun of. He's one of those designer dogs. He actually got flown from Ohio to Washington State in a private jet.
Oh my goodness.
I know, he's
He
very
is
frou-frou.
fancy.
I and something about that makes me wanna talk like I'm from LA. I don't know why that is. But anyway, he flew here in a crate, so he knows about crates. He's not unfamiliar with them, and, it's very important to put him in it, because if you don't, it's not gonna work. And the other thing, Aaliyah, that I want people to understand is that you have to create a schedule.
Yeah. Yeah.
Puppies
This
love routine. Dogs in general love routine.
absolutely.
So
Humans like routine.
does she?
Ruby loves her routine. It's really funny. Not to compare her to my adult, or not adult, but real life human children, but it's amazing how much they thrive on routine. They do well with routine.
They
Uh,
do.
yeah,
They do. Puppies even more than kids, I think,
probably.
because they're so basic.
Yeah.
So one of the things is, feed them at the same time. Make sure that the water gets picked up by a certain time. I like either 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night, depending on how late you stay up, because the last thing you're going to do before you retire for the evening is take them out and make sure that they go potty. How do you do that? You start giving them high value treats when they go within a certain amount of time. And Aaliyah, you know about this because you have a puppy and you've been through this recently. So
Yes.
tell everybody what your schedule is for Ruby.
So we typically get up around 7. First thing she does is we go outside. She then at this point, because being 9 months old, come in. She has her food. She doesn't get her breakfast until after she goes outside. And then she likes to go back to bed, frankly,
Uh-huh.
for about an hour.
What a lazy butt.
Yeah, I know. And then she's up and ready to go. But she, yeah, definitely into her routine. But those high value treats, we still use them every now and then. Like we're working on, they're just such great behavioral training tools. And we have some really high value cod jerky that I know, Deborah, you turned us on to.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
and it works wonders. It just really helps.
Yeah. I mean,
Every
when
time she goes, she gets, or but back when she was doing the real hardcore potty training, every time she would go, she got one of those high value treats.
yeah. And, I'm not beyond bribing them.
Oh
Um,
gosh, no.
Speaking of which, folks, we're going to bribe you here because we're going to break for a sponsor moment. And when we come back, we're going to give you some more really important information about potty training your puppy. And other ages of dogs as well.
Mhm.
So we'll be right back. Stay tuned to Dog Dish. Hi, folks. It's Deborah Rosen from Dog Dish, and I'd like to reintroduce you to one of our podcast sponsors, Porter's Pride Premium Pet Food. Porter's Pride is a raw diet that will improve the life of your pet, as it has with mine. Porter's Pride is sourced from our local farmers in King, Snohomish, and Whatcom counties. This superb raw diet includes organ meats and everything else your dog needs to maintain vitality and overall health. You will see improvements in your dog's coat, weight, energy, and digestion. And I know this is going to be hard for you to believe, but stool reduction. Yeah, it makes sense. Since more of the food is being absorbed and used, less is coming out. Look for this amazing food at Marlene's Markets, the Ballard Farmers Market on Sundays, Wally's Pets, Puddle's Barkery, and of course, Good Citizen Dog in Tacoma. I swear by Porter's Pride, and so does my 15-year-old dog Justice, who looks and still acts like a puppy. And it's because he's been on this food for about 6 years. To find your closest vendors or to learn more about Porter's Pride, go to porterspride.com. We're back, everybody. This is Deborah Rosen, and you are tuned into Dog Dish, and I'm here with my co-host, Aaliyah.
Hello, everyone.
Hi
Welcome.
there. And where we left off was we were making sure that everyone understands that puppies and dogs in general need a very specific routine to follow. And without that, things are going to go sideways. I hate to say that, but it's true. And one of the things you need to be aware of is that dogs get distracted very, very easily, and it's really almost the worst problem with dogs is the level of distractibility. And I hear this, and Aaliyah, you know this too, from coming to class, that people say, I just can't get my dog to stay focused on going potty. They go outside and they see a leaf blowing, or they hear something in the distance, or whatever it is, they get so distracted, they forget they have to go potty.
I see that happening with Ruby even still. Um, we'll be out on a walk and a leaf will blow by and she will lose her mind.
Right.
And then we get home, and the first thing she does when she gets home is have to go outside and go potty. And I'm like, we were just outside for half an hour.
Yeah, right. But it was
She
too
just gets so
interesting.
stimulated. Yeah.
And that shows you that they've developed some bladder control.
Yes.
So, but it doesn't help. It doesn't help when they're so distracted that they can't go. So let's say, for example, you have a backyard that you use and you send the dog out there and hope and pray that they go and do their business, right?
Yes.
Not a good idea.
Just
Really not a
hoping.
good idea. You
Yeah.
don't want to hope and pray. You need to actually put them on a leash and escort them out to the back area and say to them, it's the request, it's the ask, it's go potty or do your business or whatever you want to say. Some people don't like the indelicate go potty, but I had a client that insisted on saying get busy.
Oh,
You
we've used
know,
that. Go
yeah,
get busy.
personally, I think that's a little pretentious, but you know, I just say go pee,
Yeah.
but or poop, please. See how I put the please at the end of
That's
it?
very polite of you.
Yeah, thank you. But
Yeah.
but what I want them to do is go within a certain amount of time, right? I don't just want a dog that goes potty whenever they feel like it. I want to ask them to go. Like, let's say it's late at night and you're tired, or it's first thing in the morning and you have to get to work or do something. You don't want them taking their sweet time. You want them to go on request. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, you can't be waiting around and, putting your life on hold while you wait for your dog to go to the bathroom.
That's right. That's right. So this is what I do, and this is what I tell people to do. I tell them to have a smorgasbord in their treat pouch. And what I mean by that is everything from a piece of their own kibble up to that maybe that cod that you were just talking about, that crunchy cod. But you know, with various things, and you know what your dog's taste buds are by now. You know what things they love more than life itself. And if they go within a certain amount of time, I mean a short amount of time, say within 15 seconds of being asked, they get the highest value that you have in that bag. If it takes them 30 seconds, then they get a lower value. If it takes them a minute or 2 minutes, then they get the lowest value. And if you don't think they know the difference, you're crazy.
They do, for sure.
They absolutely do. They know the difference. So what happens ultimately is they start working really hard for the highest value treat. Okay? So that's the one thing that I would tell you is control their movement, put them on a leash, and then start asking and start looking at the time and how long it takes them to do what they need to do. And the more you give them the higher value for doing it quickly, the more they're going to learn that the quicker they go, the quicker they get what they want. So a
Great
lot of
tips.
this is about consistency, Aaliyah.
Okay, okay, that makes sense.
If you're consistent, they're going to be more consistent in their behavior.
All
So,
right.
and I want you to talk for a minute before we end this podcast about the issue that you had with Ruby and her friend.
Oh, yeah. So Ruby had a play date, and the dogs were inside because the weather's kind of turning, and it was
First of
really
all,
wet.
folks, I hope you heard the play date.
Play
Dogs
dates,
have
yes,
play dates and they need to have play dates.
yes.
And
And
by the
these,
way, I wanted to tell you on Shark Tank the other day, they had a mask that someone designed. It was a company that designed masks for dogs. So they could even
are
have play
you
dates and play and not infect each other with things.
like kennel cough?
Yeah, but they had it because of all the smoke out west
Oh,
and
okay.
being
Yeah.
able to protect them from that sort of thing. But imagine that. So not to, digress. Go ahead with your story.
It's okay. So these two dogs have been playing together since they were, weeks old. And now they're about 8, 9 months old, and they were inside, and they're both potty trained by all accounts. They are habituated and used to going, you know, at their own homes. And my own dog, whose home we were having the play date at, had two different accidents inside during the course of this, hours long play date. And then, of
Oh
course, her
no.
friend joined her. So in the accidents, and it was perplexing for dogs. I mean, Ruby, my puppy, even knows how to ask to go outside. She
Yeah. Yeah.
has she has an auditory cue that she gives me. She kind of knocks on a cat door that we have, and
Uh-huh.
I know to let her out. And it just is what's that all about, Deborah?
Oh, ask the trainer, stump the
Yeah.
trainer. What do you think it's about?
I think it could be a couple of things. I think it could be that she's just distracted.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that she just kind of loses her mind when Yara's here. And even if they do go outside, she's not necessarily taking the time to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Or, but also, I don't know if it could it be also a territorial thing. I don't know. I'm looking for answers.
No, okay. So first and foremost, I think that once she did get distracted, and what happens in the mind of a dog is that she has another dog in her space because usually when they played outside. This time they were inside, correct?
Correct. Yeah, it was
Okay,
just too stormy out.
right. So what happened is that she's not used to having another dog within her own space.
Okay.
And she hadn't generalized that aspect of potty training yet. So what I mean by that, folks, is, and you've heard me say this even on the podcast before, dogs' brains don't allow them to easily generalize information. What that means is that uh, she can't apply the information she has and knows to a situation that's even just a little bit different than what she's used to. And
Mm.
she wasn't used to having, what's the puppy's name? Yara?
Yara, yes.
She's not used to having Yara inside with her to play, and so they lost track of themselves and forgot
Okay.
what they should know. They didn't quite completely know because it was a brand new situation.
Okay.
And they probably got overstimulated. Their bladders got overstimulated because they were playing, and they forgot and just went. It was pee, not poop, right?
Yeah, it was just pee. It was
Yeah,
just
right. That's my thought. That's my
okay.
thinking on it.
Well, that makes sense. I could see that would be easily the way it would go with these two kind of ding dongy little puppies. Adorable, smart, as well trained as you can expect 8 and 9 month old puppies to be. But yeah, that does make sense that they just aren't. You
So,
throw
do you
one
wanna
new
know what I would
factor
have
in.
done? What I
What
would
would you have
do?
done?
Yeah,
Yes,
well, in the future,
please.
what I would do is I would split up the play period and take them outside in the middle and
Okay.
take them through their routine, ask them to go. If they go, then they go back to play again. If they don't, then they both go into a crate
Okay.
where the play is over. Okay, so you mandate the play upon going potty in between, and then they can go back in and play
Back
again.
in the play. Okay, and reward them. And they're actually both smart enough to understand that. So
Cool. Yeah, well, that's it, folks. I mean, I think that the lessons to be learned are get a crate, use it. Don't be afraid to use it. I wouldn't overuse it. You don't want to keep them in that crate, but you want to make sure that if you're not able to really watch them and you know that they haven't gone potty in a while, they need to be in there. All right. And then, create and maintain a very strict schedule, a routine. Make sure you pick up the damn water at a certain time at night and they don't get any more. And that's okay. They don't need it. And then reward them appropriately when they go potty. If they go quickly, they get really good stuff. If they don't, they get mediocre stuff. If they don't go at all, they get to go back inside the house and go in their crate. So be consistent and don't lose the faith. There
okay.
I
Good.
know that there are certain puppies that are really tough, especially the small breed ones. Just keep it going, stick with the program. Okay?
Okay, that gives me so much hope. Thank you, Deborah.
Oh, well, thank you, Aaliyah. This was fun. And we're going to have another podcast coming after this. We're going to talk about how to keep your puppies occupied during a pandemic.
Good deal. I need all those tips.
Yeah, right. So thank you for tuning into Dog Dish, and we will talk to you next time.
Thank you for tuning into Dog Dish, a Zen dog production. This podcast is produced by Deborah Rosen and Aaliyah Delmage. It is sponsored by Joe's Body Shop, Porter's Pride Premium Pet Food, and Good Citizen Dog Training. If you are located in Western Washington and want more information about our dog training services, go to seattle.goodcitizendog.com or call us at 253-905-3685. If you are in Boise, Idaho, go to boise.goodcitizendog.com or call 208-971-6229 and enjoy peaceful living with your dog.